Police officials in Georgia refused to release the identity of a detective who showed up to the home of a couple and honestly lost his temper. Now, I don't want to give too much away of the video, but before we get to it, I want to give you some context. So apparently the officer accused the couple of being involved in drugs despite the lack of evidence and the insistence that the family is chemical free, okay? So whether or not the family is involved in any type of drug trafficking or drug possession is unclear at the moment, okay? So I want to be honest with you about that.
Well, I'll go further because my understanding is that they earlier in the video they talked about how something to do with her brother, right?
Yeah.
She's like, well, I'm not my brother, and we insist on having no drugs in this house, right? So it sucks that the cops can show up somewhere and claim that there's drugs, and then it seems like the burden of proof shifts onto you, that you got to somehow prove that you're chemical free or whatever it is. That's not the way it's supposed to work in America. Now, one other important piece of context here, as you're going to see Earl Cannady and his wife yelling at the cops, and then the cops yelling back fairly aggressively. They're packing, okay? This is in Georgia, and the husband and the wife have guns on them.
Legally, by the way. They have the correct licenses for it. They're in their own home. The police officials do not have a warrant to enter the house. And here's the reality. If you have any type of probable cause indicating that there's any type of drug activity happening in that home, you can obtain a warrant like that. But they didn't have a warrant. So keep all that in mind, and now take a look at the video.
All right. Do you mind if we search your house?
You ain't searching shit. You got a warrant?
But I can go get one.
Bye. Bye.
Okay.
Because I don't do shit. Now, you got a problem with those kids? You take it up with those kids. I'm going to tell you something right now. You ain't got a fucking investigation on me. I don't do drugs for one.
Number one, you're going to quit fucking cussing at me like that. You're going to quit fucking cussing at me like that. You understand me?
Look, man, you're telling me I sell drugs.
I don't give a fuck if I'm at your house or not. You ain't going to talk to me like that. You understand me?
I think you're getting too close.
Yeah, well, I don't give a fuck what you think I'm fitting to do.
You're getting too close.
You ain't going to come out here and square up on me, cuz. You ain't going to square up on me. I don't care if you're carrying that side piece on you or not.
I need you to calm down.
No, I need you to sit there and shut your mouth. I don't care, record me.
Baby, don't.
But you ain't going to square up on me thinking you're going to carry a gun.
You're getting a little too loud.
Yeah, you are. You're getting a little too aggressive.
Call it what you want.
You're getting a little too. You guys need to leave our yard. What you need to do.
No, I'm telling you because you're telling me I sell drugs. That's ridiculous.
So things have gotten so bad that video ended. I was like, oh, thank God nobody got shot.
That's
it almost became a heartwarming story because nobody got killed.
I was honestly shocked that no one got shot in that video because we've seen so many cases where, you know, police officials are in a position where they're supposed to de-escalate what's happening, and they don't de-escalate it, and unfortunately it devolves into a situation where someone gets shot and killed. I was relieved, and honestly, I was so relieved that when I first saw that video, I'm like, is this even really a news story? I mean, no one even got shot. But it's still important to highlight cases like this because even if someone isn't killed in the process of being confronted by cops, just the way that they handle the situation and the way that they failed to de-escalate it, I think says a lot about their training or lack thereof.
Yeah, look, if you're a cop, you got to keep it cool. I know it's hard sometimes, but you got to. Now, here's my second takeaway from it. I watched it a second time, and I noticed you see her legs at some point. They're white.
Yeah.
Okay. And so the cop was disciplined. We don't know to what degree he was disciplined.
Not buying it.
Okay, I don't know if he really was, but that's what they claim, right?
They will not release his identity, right?
Right, of course not.
So we have no evidence that he was disciplined in any way, and I doubt that he was.
Okay, but let's keep it real. Those cops show up in Georgia, and that couple is black, and they both have guns on them. That story ends a different way, okay? There's no de-escalation. There's no cop walking away. Okay, wow, he yelled at him. Like, this is a national story now because a cop yelled at a white person, okay, who had a gun on him. I mean, how many stories have we seen of black people with no guns on them being shot? They walk in, they got two black people with guns on them. All right, look, you can disagree, but I've seen it way too many times. I would be shocked if that story ended the same way. And look, the cops are wrong. And I've told you this, whether the people involved are white or black, they're wrong because it's not a crime to disrespect a police
Yes,
officer.
I know. And
Right? And but
yes.
they think it's the biggest crime in the world.
Yes, not only do they think it's the biggest crime in the world, the people who support the cops, regardless of what they do, or regardless of how many people that are unarmed and innocent get shot and killed, will always go to that argument. Well, they weren't respecting the cops. It's not a fucking crime to disrespect the cops, okay? You can cuss out the cops, which I don't recommend. I wouldn't do it personally, right? But if someone is cursing at a cop or being verbally disrespectful to a cop, that is not grounds for shooting them. That's not grounds for using any type of force.
Being that aggressive, getting up in their face. And the fact is, you don't have a warrant. So, and I also knew that they were white when they insisted on a warrant. And so, but God bless them. They have that right as Americans, and they should exercise that right as Americans. It's just that in our experiences, we've seen in the news over and over again, black guy asks for a warrant, that's the last thing he says, okay?
I knew they were white when one of them said, bye. Right? Like, I mean,
To a cop,
yeah, like the way that she was reacting to him, it showed like a certain level of confidence, a lack of fear that I think a lot of people wouldn't identify with.
And so I don't know what their politics is, but I do know a lot of people who, carry around guns or big Second Amendment people, and they feel like the cops have no right to mess with me. And there's a lot of truth to that, right? On the other hand, if a black person says the cops have no right to mess with me, generally they're called a thug, right? So thank God nobody got shot or killed here. Yes, there should be some repercussions for the cops. You do need a warrant, and you can't get up in people's grill that way. I wish that the guns weren't involved at all, because if that situation goes slightly awry, there's a lot of dead people.